So let's continue. So we get to a point today where I think we're left with a battle between the ruling elite, right? That's Russia and China. We've got two elite factions. One faction, the Democratic Party, they are representing the commodities people, the oil and gas people, right? Russia has oil and gas. They want to take over Russia and take their oil and gas. So that's why the Democrats are like, Russia, Russia, Russia. What does Russia have? It has commodities. It has oil and gas and palladium and gold, right? So that's one faction of the ruling elite. Now, sadly, the idiot sheep in this country are so propagandized that they believe the hype, and they think that Russia and China is really about some kind of a moral standing that the U.S. has taken. That's pretty pathetic. But if you're listening to this, you're probably smarter than that. Now, think about this. Think about the two factions, the hilarious contradiction that the Democrats say we are for to stopping climate change, and meanwhile their focus is on taking the country, getting power from the country that has the gas and oil. Now, then you've got so they're the ones who want commodities, and that's why they want war with Russia, because they want to take all their commodities. That's that group of really, crazies. Now the others, they have an issue with China, and their issue with China is twofold, and this is why they both hate China and Russia. This is where it comes together. The industrialists, China has industry. And China, they can't compete with China because China is starting to do it better and cheaper and innovate and all the things that they say capitalism should be able to do, because China is about 70% of the economy is owned by the state, and about 30% of it is market owned, is individual owned, right? So they found this kind of hybrid system that's working for them. Whether it continues to work, I don't know, right, for them, but economically it's clearly and obviously working for them, right? And they got buy-in from the people because the culture is different. So the people now, somewhere between 86 and 93%, last check, of the Chinese approved of their government. So you've got these industrialists saying two things. We got problems here because their industry seems to be working better than ours. It's more efficient than ours. We're not going to be able to compete. So the industrialists want war with China because they want to stop this China's industrial machine. The gas and oil and Exxon Mobil's and people that buy gold and uranium and palladium and various iron ore and all that stuff, they want war with China because they want those commodities. It's just that simple. But the two of them do come together in one area, and here's where. And thanks again. I see somebody gave me a $5 tip in Rockfin. Certainly appreciate that. For those who can, let me do this. Please, if you're in the chat in YouTube, click on that and go over. I prefer that you watch it on Rockfin. I'm trying to build Rockfin because you see what's happening with Scary Poppins and the government disinformation board. Anything could happen at any time. And please go over to Rockfin, follow me there, become a member if you can. If you can't, that's okay. Still just subscribe to my Rockfin channel, ROKFIN, and there's the whatchamacallit. Okay. Oh crap! I hate when I do that. I've got ADD and I forget where I am. But at any rate, now okay. So where do these industrialists and the people that want commodities and the people that want to take China over so they can war with China so they can stop the industrial competition, and the war with Russia so they can get the commodities? Where do they come together? Here's where they come together. If you've heard me again, you probably have heard this before, but if you haven't, that's okay. Where they come together is this. There's a model that the U.S. doesn't like. And here's the model. The model is, I would call it, if I were running for president, I'd call it the Alaska model. The people in Alaska, what happens? If you live in Alaska, Alaska sells oil, right? And everybody gets a part of it. Every Alaskan person gets a check. You get part of that, right? They would scream and call that socialism. That's what happens in a model in Alaska, which is a red state. What does Russia do? What did Venezuela do? What does Bolivia do, right? What do? They have natural resources. The government nationalizes their oil, gas, their natural resources. The government sells those things. The government then use that money to run the government so they don't have to tax the hell out of you. The government then has a very powerful, a very substantial social safety net. You can go to college and get health care and free houses for the poor and things of that nature, right? A lot of these countries are doing a lot of those programs. And you have very low, if any, taxes in these countries. So there's a model wherein, and what China does is they use their industrial base and they bring money in with that so they don't have to tax the hell out of the people. So what happens? There's a model that says the government doesn't let ExxonMobil and Chevron and these other companies pump your oil out, pump your gold out, take your timber, all the things that they sell, that these companies don't do it and keep the profit as though it's their own. The government does it. It's the people's money. It's owned by these resources are owned by the people. So the government's going to sell these things on the market, going to take that money to run the government. And therefore, the people aren't going to be taxed and they'll still have a substantial economic base to keep their social safety net going, right? So where both of the commodities people and the industrial people come together is they don't want Americans to even consider that model because that would cost them dearly. So that's I think where the two come together.